Hi lovelies and welcome back. Sorry I haven't been around. I have not been well. So anyway, we're going to push through. Now, I'm here to talk to you today about my top 5 books of the year so far, my disappointments, and the books I'm looking forward to read. So let's get straight into it. Now, to start with, I'm quite strict with my 5-star reads. So far, I have only had 4. Now, I don't give out 5 stars willy-nilly, okay? So when I give out 5 stars, you know this is the goods. Sorry, that was Teddy. You know these books, top notch. Now, I'm going to start with the first book that I read of the year, which was just fabulous. Sorry, that's my dishwasher. But I wanted to film near my painting because she's leaning on books and yeah, anyway. We'll ignore the dishwasher. The first book I read in January was The Mad Wife. Now, I picked this up randomly in an airport in January when we were going to... Where were we going? I can't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. On a holiday by Megan Church. Now, this book is absolutely... this book had me by the first page. It is absolutely amazing. And I have to say, when I picked this book up, I had absolutely no idea about it. And it was absolutely a cover buy, as you can see. How stunning. 1950s housewife. Don't we all love a 1950s housewife? Now, I'm just going to give you a tiny little bit of the blurb in case you haven't heard about it, because I don't like to give too much away, and you'll never have any spoilers on my channel, so don't worry. It just says Lulu has spent the last 5 years moulding herself into the perfect 1950s housewife, as you do. Despite the tragic memories that haunt her and the weight of exhausting expectations, she keeps her husband happy, the household running, and her gelatin salads the talk of the neighbourhood. They were hilarious, by the way. But after she gives birth to her second child, Lulu's carefully crafted life begins to unravel. Now, I'm not going to say any more. But that book was stunning, absolutely unbelievable. And can I just say, 1950s housewife, you may be sitting there going, oh, Juliet, that's so not relatable. Oh my God, it is relatable. As a mum, married mum of 2, totally relatable now. That's what I think caught me, is even though this is the 1950s and you would think it's not relatable, it is so relatable to today. Anyway, that's my opinion. Fabulous. I would say that this is a mystery. It's a little times at hint thrillerish, but there's definitely a lot of psychological mystery going on here. And that's what I loved about it. And I loved the setting. I loved Lulu. I wanted the book to continue purely because I loved Lulu. Loved her so much. I kind of wish that there was a second part to this book. Now, Megan Church, I've not read anything by her, but she's also written The Last Carolina Girl and The Girls We Sent Away. So I would like to look into reading more by her because her writing style was just phenomenal. So if you're interested in a historical fiction with a bit of a psychological mystery, I'd say, then this book is for you, hands down. This was such an easy 5-star, and I never have easy 5 stars, I'm telling you right now. The next 5-star was Mad Mabel. Now, when did I read Mabel? I think I read Mabel in March. Oh, and meanwhile, how gorgeous is the Australian cover? Love it. Mabel's doing the rounds now, but when I read Mabel, not many people had read her so much. Anyway, I'm going to give you just a snippet of the blurb because she this explains it better than what I can explain it, okay? It says, in 1959, at just 15 years of age, Mabel Waller became the youngest Australian in history to be convicted of murder. In 2025, on a quiet Melbourne lane, an elderly man is found dead by his neighbour, 81-year-old Elsie Fitzpatrick. No one suspects foul play until they discover Elsie's past. In the 1950s, her name was not Elsie, it was Mabel. Loved it. And I absolutely loved Mabel so much. This was such an easy 5-star read. It is so gorgeous. It has that kind of I don't like to use the phrase found family. I don't know why I have a problem with that. I just don't like it. it does have that element of it. I love that it's set in Australia as well, which is really great. I'm in Brisbane though, so I'm not in Melbourne. I'm in Queensland, so far from Melbourne, but love that aspect of it. Love the fact that it was about, and she's 81, isn't she? Yeah. Love the fact that it was about an 80-year-old woman who was she charged? Yeah, convicted of murder as a 15? Yeah, great memory, Juliet. 15-year-old. So it's so interesting. It is such a good book. It was such an easy read as well. Now, I believe, is Sally Hepworth, I think she's Australian. I love this so much that I did pick up The Darling Girls by her, like after this. And yeah, I didn't like that so much. I actually didn't finish it, but I did really love this one and I would highly recommend this book. Look, one thing I don't say in my videos is to check trigger warnings with books. If you're someone that needs to check trigger warnings, then absolutely do that on any book. You know, that's my advice. I didn't grow up with trigger warnings, so I don't check trigger warnings because I didn't have them when I grew up. And also, I kind of find trigger warnings a little bit almost like spoilers. So if I don't like something in a book, I'll just put it down. But if you're someone that needs to check trigger warnings, then check them on Mabel, definitely. And perhaps check them on Mad Mabel. Not Mad Mabel, the Mad Wife. 2 books with Mad in it. Anyway, rambling. Okay, the next book, which was, can I just say, I had heard that this was a good book, but I didn't think it was going to be this good. The Poet Empress. Now, this is by Shin Teo. I hope I'm saying that right. Now, this is, from what I understand, by a debut author. And can I just say, for a debut author, absolutely ridiculously good. Now, if you've seen some of my videos before, you will know that I do like a historical fiction. I also really love anything with Asian culture in it, especially historical Asian culture. I studied Japanese for a few years and I just love it. Now, this book, I'm trying to remember where it was set. Look, I think it was set in China. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below. However, this is a fantasy. Now, this is not like any other fantasy I have read. Now, it's not a fantasy that has, it's not a romantasy, so it is purely fantasy. And the magic in this book is like nothing else I've read before. It's very, like the magic is very individual to the person. And the magic is only held by the emperor and his sons. And so the type of power or magic that each individual has is out of their control. It's just what they're born with, but it becomes apparent at a certain age, which I'm trying to think of that age. I think it was probably around the age of 11 or 12. Anyway, this was fabulous, and it was about an emperor and his two oh no, he didn't have 2 sons. Emperor and his sons and the battle for power. And I don't want to go into too much more because I don't want to spoil it for you. It was a little bit brutal in parts, and by that I mean a little bit hard to read, because there is like a certain type of violence in the book. However, read your trigger warnings. Once again, as I say, read your trigger warnings. Once I got my head around what was going on and what was happening, the plot was just so fascinating that side of it didn't bother me so much. Initially, I thought, oh, this is a little bit graphic. Once I got past sort of the way a certain person, I'll say, was, then, and I expected that behaviour, then I was just able to get caught up in the plot of the story, and it's absolutely fabulous. And the fact that she is, like I said, a debut author, I was disappointed because I would have picked up another book straight away after that if she had written more. It was just fabulous. And this is a standalone. So I'm glad it's a standalone, but part of me thinks, oh, she could have maybe made it into a duology. But anyway, fabulous book, highly recommend it. But like I said, do look at the trigger warnings for that one because, yeah, you know, goes without saying. On this channel, I'm just going to say it. Anyway, the last 5-star book, I just finished this recently and this is doing the rounds, and there's a reason it's doing the rounds. It is really good. Now, I have to say that a lot of the books that do the rounds are not good. I'm just putting it out there, and most of them I do not like. This one I loved. This one by Charlotte McConaughey. I keep wanting to say McConaughey, like Matthew McConaughey, but anyway, it's not. This is, look, you've probably heard about it. I'm just going to read a little snippet of the blurb. This one actually is set in Tasmania. Don't know what it is. What have we got? We've got a couple of books. Yeah, Mad Mabel, this one, Australia. Unusual. This one is set in an island, but the island is fictional off Tasmania. But when I looked it up, it's actually sort of based off a real island in Tasmania. Love Tasmania, by the way. Not where I live, but love it. It says, Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, which is the island, not far from Antarctica, home to the world's largest seed bank. Shearwater was once full of researchers, but with the sea levels rising, the salts are now its final inhabitants. Until, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman mysteriously washes ashore. Love it. Now, this one I'm going to put into literary fiction mystery with a hint of thriller, which I love. And look, there were parts in this which I did predict. And normally that really annoys me, but it didn't annoy me. It really didn't, because the plot and the characters were great. Now, one thing I'm going to say is each chapter flips between a different character's perspective. So you've got 4. So you've got the 3, the son and his, I can't count, 5. You've got the son and his 3 children, and then the woman that washes ashore. That was done really well. I usually don't like that flip-flop, but that was done really well. It's very evident whose point of view you're being given, because obviously the point of view is like each chapter has the name of the individual, so it's super easy to follow. And I didn't find that irritating. There was a part sort of midway towards the end where I felt it dragged a little, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be a 5-star. But once the ending hit, lovelies, that became a 5-star banger. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And there is a book of hers. What's it called? Something with wolves. Wild Wolves? Or am I getting wild from here? Anyway, I'll put it up on the screen. I have got that on my book wish list because I want to read that one. That one sounds really interesting too. Okay. All right, now let's get to my disappointments. Okay, I was going to do more disappointments, but I've decided I'm not going to do those 2. Anyway, I'm just going to do the ones that I think you'd want to know about it. The ones that are that are doing the rounds. Anyway, this one has been doing the rounds for a while. I don't think I need to explain this to anyone. This is a Frida book. However, this is the first Frida book that I have read. I've never read anything by Frida McFadden before. Now, I think I gave this book a 2-star, which really, normally, I don't even give books a 2-star. By that point, I'm DNFing. However, I continued to read because I was like, no, this is a Frida book. I want to see what it's about. Plus, I wanted to see how she ended it and how she dealt with it. Now, by all means, if you are a Frida McFadden, 100%, you do you. This book was not for me, and I have to tell you why, lovelies, because I sat here reading this book. I don't have the energy to hold it. And I sat there and I was like, okay, she's hiding her identity. I'm assuming her name's not Frida McFadden, obviously. But there's talk that she's a doctor, right? hides her identity. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I get why you want to hide your identity if you're a professional. That's fine. I used to be a professional. I wasn't a doctor by any means, but okay. I was like, right. But then I was sitting there and I was reading the book, and to me, this is just my opinion, it didn't read like it was written by a doctor. That's all I'm saying on that one. And then I sat there and I read that book. I'm sitting there going, okay, I don't know whether this is just me, but there are certain things I'm just thinking as a female, I couldn't write. However, she does write it, and that's fine. And there's a lot of people who love her, and that is fine. I'm not one of those people, so I will not be picking up a Frida McFadden book again. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding the amount of books she puts out, and I don't know how she does it as a professional. I'm sorry, I don't know how she does it. But yeah, I just read the writing style and I was like, really? Written by a doctor? I'm not questioning whether she writes it, but I'm just maybe saying, okay, well, that explains the writing style if she's pumping out that much, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you're a Frida fan, let me know in the comments. If there is a better book than The Housemaid, you let me know. Let me know what you think about the hiding the identity. Part of me thinks it's almost part of it's creating this elusive person, right? And is that adding to the vibe, or is that adding to the interest of her books? For me, I kind of think that's what it is, and part of me thinks maybe that's why she's doing it. Bit of a hot take. If I was a professional, I wouldn't want my patients knowing that I wrote that either. So I understand why she does it. But yeah, that's just me. Won't be doing Frida again. But you let me know what you think. Be kind. I know lots of people love Frida, but you know. Anyway, my next book, which I was so disappointed about. Like I said before, love a historical fiction. Love it with a bit of Asian culture. So I thought this book was going to be a banger. Now, this book is long, right? I read 77% of this book before I DNF'd it. Now, it is, oh my gosh, it is long. It's 551 this edition, right? I read 77%. And the reason I did is I was like, no, people are raving about this book. Now, at the beginning, let me go back. If you don't know much about Pachinko, it's just about a family and it goes through the generations, okay? So it's about a family in Korea, in South Korea, and it goes through the generations. And it starts quite early on. I'm trying to remember. Was it in the hang on. No, it was even earlier than that. It was in the 1930s. Yeah, 1930s. I was like, so excited. Going through the generations, the beginning, I loved it. It was great. This book has so much potential, but I think the problem is it's about that much too long. Like, wrap it up. At 77%, I was sitting there and I thought, I need to know what happens. And then I thought, do I really need to know what happens? I've already pushed through 77% of the book. And I'm sitting here going, why am I pushing through? Is it because it's out on BookTube everywhere? Yep, 100%. And then I went, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sick of reading books that are just not grabbing me. And I didn't want to pick it up. So the 77% took me about 10 days. And I think that says it all. If you liked Pachinko, you can let me know, because I just struggled. I just found it almost repetitive, generation after generation, to a varying degree. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see what the hype is. Is the hype because it's been so hyped and people don't want to say I don't like it? I don't know. But I don't like it, to the point where I DNF'd it at 77%. However, I do think I gave it a good crack, and I'm happy with that. I stand by my opinion. 77% was really good crack. I normally do not go that long. I normally go to about, 30%, 50%. Never that far and never with such a big book. So you know I was really frustrated by that. Don't recommend it. However, if you've loved it, let me know in the comments. Okay, lovelies. Now, I've got 2 books here that I want to chat about, which are my most anticipated books for the next couple of months, I think, that I really want to get to. Now, the first book is, this is not by any planning, but this is an Australian book, and I'm assuming she's an Australian author. Toni Jordan. I'm assuming actually she's female. I'm assuming a lot of things. Anyway, it's called Tenderfoot. How gorgeous is that book? Look, she has been shortlisted for 3 awards, okay? I saw this in a bookshop in Tasmania, and when I was on holidays, cover caught me, and I took a photo of it, thought about it, and went, I want to read that book. This book is, I'm pretty sure she's Australian because it's blurbed by Trent Dalton. Okay, now, it may not grab you, but I think it's going to be really interesting and very different from anything, that's out there. It says, wait for the boxes to open, wait for the race to begin. Wait, and your greyhound will cease to be the dog you know and become an entirely different kind of animal. So obviously it's about greyhound racing. I don't know whether they do greyhound racing in other countries. I don't know. I don't even know if they do it anymore, to be honest. Sorry, lovelies. I'm not up to date on things like that in my own country. Brisbane. Oh, that's where I live. 1975, 4 years before I was born. Andy Tanner's world is small but whole. Her mum is complicated, but she adores her dad and the kennel of the racing greyhounds that live under their house. Andy's a serious girl with plans. Finished school with her friends, then apprenticed to her father until she can become a greyhound trainer with dogs of her very own. But real life rarely goes to plan, and the world is bigger and more complex than Andy could imagine when she loses everything she cares about, her family, her friends, the dogs. It's up to Andy to reclaim her future. She will need all her wits to survive this new reality of secrets and half-truths, addictions and crime. I just think this sounds interesting because it's different. Okay, I love things that are different. I also love books that people are not talking about, and they're not talking about an Australian book, I can tell you. Anyway, this one was blurbed by, like I said, Trent Dalton. He said, Tenderfoot is magnificent, deeply moving, beautiful and powerful. I just think it's great. And like I said, it's shortlisted for lots of awards. If you like this cover and you can get your hands on it, they are redoing it and the new cover is ugly. So if you want this cover, grab it now. But yeah, I think it'll be so interesting. And I'm going to let you know, I hope it's not disappointing because I think the cover is stunning. And I just think if they hadn't have put those awards on, it would have been even better. But anyway, it just looks like a painting. Beautiful. So that one I'm really looking forward to. Now the next one, I don't know how I stumbled across this one, to be honest. Oh, no, this was on a pre-order. I think it might have come up on Amazon. Anyway, Natalie Borelli, The Housewife. Ooh, a little bit of blood on the teacup. Now, I know, I saw this when I got it. The twists are out of this world. You don't want to miss this one, Frida. Anyway, so let's just ignore that, right? It says, Jodie has built the life she always dreamed of, a beautiful home, a respected husband, and the image of the perfect wife. But behind the perfect picture facade lies an obsession she can't let go of, proving that Roy killed his first wife, Deborah. Sounds like a banger, lovelies. Sounds like a banger. So I reckon that's going to be great. Meanwhile, what's the go with me in the 1950s housewives? Well, Mabel wasn't a housewife. She was a child. I've got a thing. Anyway, so that is my last book that I'm really looking forward to. Look, there are other books, but I don't want this video to be too long for you. So let me know what your 5-star reads were for the beginning of this year. Also, let me know if you had some disappointments and what your thoughts are on my 5 stars and my disappointments. Let me know what you're looking forward to reading, because I'm always looking for recommendations and adding to my TBR, and love it, love it, love it. And thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you made it to the end, leave me, if there's a teacup emoji, leave me a teacup emoji for this one, this book, in the end. And because I have favourites, and my favourites are the ones that stay to the end. So if you've liked this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment below what your favourites are and what you're looking forward to reading in the next half of the year. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.